Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio, and with Alan Cochrane and Emily Dean. You can text us on 81215 or follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute. And buy your power tools from Jeff's on the high street.
Are they the best place?
When I read that bit, I do feel like I'm about to do one of those adverts that sometimes you have to do on commercial radio.
Perhaps we could shop one in each hour just for a bit of fun.
I don't know. I think I might have to run away.
Renege.
My waist ground, if that happened. Yeah, renege. I watched Hello Hello
Did you?
last week.
How does it stand up?
I laughed.
Oh,
I did laugh.
That funny,
lovely review.
That funny French voice is funny, though. I mean, that's...
That good moaning?
Yeah, that's
still
not
works for
dated.
me.
I find that funny.
What a great job that bloke had just mispronouncing.
Result on it.
You're back, Frank.
I am back, and I should explain to regular listeners that I had the noro.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oof.
It's everywhere, the noro. And I felt I was missing out a bit. It's like when I was at school, I was the only one who hadn't got a Crombie.
Right.
And, you know those, in case you don't know, they were like long blue overcoats. Yeah, so I finally got the noro. The whole house had the noro. It goes through
It becomes like a horror film, doesn't it?
So I lay on my sick bed last Saturday morning listening to the show. And I haven't heard the show. I'm not a person who goes away and listens to the podcasts. I can't stand to listen to myself whittering on that stupid accent.
I won't have you say that. It's a lovely accent.
I have to say, Emily was in the chair in case you missed last week.
I felt sick.
The cockerel was also in absentia. And it was great. I think it's the best the show's ever been.
Shut up.
Awkward.
I am serious. I felt a bit like, do you know when Jack Doherty used to have a chat show on Channel 4, and then he had 2 weeks off, and Graham Norton sat in for him. And then when the Comedy Awards came along, Graham Norton won it for Best Chat Show for those 2 weeks.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Frank.
That's what I felt like.
Can I tell you what I felt like?
Imagine if this wins the Sony Gold for the week you were off.
I
Awful,
felt like it was a One Direction concert and someone had come on and announced, I'm sorry, Adam Ant will be here doing own stuff. That's what I felt like.
Oh, well, it was the exact opposite. As you know, because I don't know if you heard any of the show.
I did. I heard.
But at one point they read out a text from a listener that said it'd be better if I died so that Emily remained...
They never...
They didn't!
Or did they say better if he's ill next week, I think they said. It's
I
something
don't
around
know,
the
but
area of me dying.
I halted
happen?
one mid-read because mainly it contained praise. But I didn't know it had made a reference to
It was
your
definitely.
death.
If it wasn't death, I thought it's hoping that the illness would be prolonged. So that
I never heard
the
that
terrible thing was, I thought, I agree.
Can I say,
Not that
Frank,
I
I
wanted
don't
to
see
die.
the texts and emails as you don't.
No,
I didn't
really?
know
Did
that
you
was...
avoid that?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I didn't want to see them.
I thought it was. I just thought it was better with a female voice in there.
Oh, shut up.
Swap chairs, then.
I did. I thought.
This is the most awful thing.
I'll talk for
I'll
a
tell
bit
you what
while you
it-
swap chairs if you want.
I'll tell you what it was.
It'll
I
help.
thought something I hadn't thought for about 30 years. I thought it sounded very with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Really with it. And,
Yeah, it was. It sounded with it. And I
Was it
thought,
all
no,
the rage?
with it.
So it's,
Nobody says with
Frank,
it.
can I say something to you? I do have newfound respect for you, though. I did miss you enormously.
Yeah,
But...
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
Frank!
This is what sort of things that Merlin said to Guise as his magic became greater. It became
Yeah, but
apparent that he
The
was the
show's
great
not sounding
wizard.
with it this week.
Frank, there's a very technical side to it as well. In fact, that threw me, all those buttons.
Yeah, I didn't like the buttons.
Couldn't
now
deal with
now
that.
you're playing the helpless female role. What I'm
If she
basically
is, I am
saying,
as well.
the conclusion I've come to is, after having examined my conscience before God, I have come to the certainty that my strengths, due to old age, are no longer suited to an adequate exercise of the Petrine ministry.
What's that a quote from? Or
Was that from Benedict?
That
Oh,
was Benedict's
that was Benedict.
leaving speech.
Wow.
I don't know if you went to his leaving do,
I never know.
Benedict. It was.
I think I had
No.
a gig that night. It was probably a juicy
it's
call.
not till the 28th. Actually.
Frank, you
I've
can't
had-
go away
I've
again,
had
though,
to move
please.
things. Well, I tell you, I think I'm not suggesting we have a listener vote, because I might have to take my own life. But I honestly thought it was excellent.
Oh.
And I thought the last week's show that I did was particularly poor. So, I mean, side by side, by Sondheim.
Don't put them side by side.
We wouldn't have made that reference last week.
No, it was...
And the show would have been all the poorer for it, may I say.
Well, I tell you what, I feel like... We know when Bruce Forsyth was ill one week, or he had a week off, and they had Claudia and Tess do it on their own. It was much better.
Oh.
I feel like the returning Bruce. The wrinkled face replacing the beautiful female. Oh, God, I'm ashamed of myself.
Absolute Radio. Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I have a suggestion for something we can talk about.
Is it a surfing suggestion?
Keep the show with it.
Is it like on
commas.
Vesta beef curry, where the suggestion was that you put the rice in a circle?
Oh, is that what the
Is that the suggestion?
Yeah. Do you know, I still do that in the poshest of Indian restaurants. I put rice in a circle.
Do you?
And then pour the sauce in the middle.
And do you have a layer of rice on top of the plate as well, or is it going right on plate, the curry?
Oh, right on plate.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It looks a bit like, if you can imagine, a sort of Asian subcontinent jammy
Yes.
dodger.
Yes.
Is the meat is the sort of village in the wall, in the rice wall?
It's if you imagine a walled village, the curry is the village, and the rice is the wall.
Oh.
Yeah.
I love that metaphor.
Or in an old western, the curry is the pioneers, and the rice is the wagons in a circle.
I was going to say.
Oh,
wagons in a
I
circle.
love that
Nice.
one.
In
Yeah,
fact,
that's
there's
good.
probably another Indian reference in here, because of course you have then
Steady.
the old-fashioned, the Red
Yeah.
Indians,
Yeah,
as they were
yeah.
called in the old days.
Yes.
And they were. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
No,
that's
it wasn't
because
that.
they were furious.
Yeah.
That's why. They were always furious.
It wasn't that I was going to suggest to make the show with it.
Oh.
I was
Come on, what's going to
thinking-
make us all the rage?
I mean, I'm going to say the words that we try not to say. The Brits. I think we should discuss the Brits, because they've been in the papers. and we,
Oh, God.
Look, it's a long time
Oh,
ago.
dear.
Why don't you just leave it? I mean, this week's... I don't mind discussing those. I thought you meant the one I hosted.
I don't like to press a bruise that's existed for a
Well,
number
it's not
of
a
years.
bruise. It's a gaping, seeping wound.
Yeah. It's a Crimea wound.
You two are the sort of people that I suspect would have had a look at it if
You
you were
too,
channel
yeah, they
hopping.
would-
You
they'd have
two
watched
would
it.
definitely looked at it.
Yeah.
with their massive heads.
I don't think they would have. I didn't.
You didn't have a look.
No.
All right.
Oh, I did. I checked it out.
I mean, the great thing about music, of course, is that we're all different.
Yeah.
And if I was to pick the music that I least want to listen to, it would have been not too far away from the list of winners at the Brits.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not challenging the basic essence of that music or its quality. I'm just saying that I personally find it abhorrent. Yeah. I tell you what it felt like. If you look at the winners list, it looked like the, when there's a royal family-based gig,
Yes.
like a
Yes.
Prince's Trust or concert for
Are we
Diana.
talking Queen in a cloak or more Charles? I know what you mean.
But when
Yeah,
when you see the list of bands, you think, oh yeah, of course it's that list
Yeah.
of safe, no sharp edges, no original thought, turned out stuff, and that's what it felt like to me.
Well,
I'm
even-
sorry to seem like again the resigning Pope, but I thought it was awful. I didn't watch it because it makes me feel poorly.
Oh, I didn't watch it either, but this chap Harry Styles has got himself in the papers quite a lot, because his ex
Yes.
Taylor Swift, whose work I know not, she
Well, you
apparently
should
did a
read In
raunchy
Style
dance.
next month because she will be in it.
Shall I?
Yes.
Taylor Swift will be in it.
Yes, she's our cover girl. That's what we call it, our cover girl.
Well, she's a pretty girl. And
And
he's
she
a
did
very
well. She
handsome
danced-
young fellow.
He is a handsome boy.
You
I like
say
him.
that. I think he looks like a 30-year-old mum without makeup who looks quite good for her age.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the feminine about him, that
I
Harry.
have to say, I saw a picture of him. I googled him to learn who he was, and I saw a picture of him with his actual mum, who he took to the after party.
Oh, don't say
And-
I would.
Yeah, I was going to say exactly that. I fancy his mum.
Oh, Frank.
I think she's 42, so she's just a bit
She's
older.
a lot older than me.
He used to have a sort of his hair had a hint
We're
of
not
the
changing
fringe.
the subject. I still fancy his
I
mum.
don't think it's right to talk about his mum.
I know you want to move on, but I don't.
I think we can talk about him, but I don't think we can leer at his mother.
Why not? She's fit.
I'm sorry, Danny Dyer appears to be co-presenting the show with us, Frank.
It just seems wrong to me.
Why not? She's fit.
But
I'm
he used to have a bit of a fringe, Harry, and now it's completely. It looks like that when they drive the tour bus to things like the Brits, he's the one with his head out the window all the way down the motorway.
Oh yeah.
You know when the dog does that? I think Harry Styles has got his head out. Because he's so completely swept back. And his face is also showing a hint of G-force about it, which I've never noticed before. But I must say, there's something happening at the lower end of his shirt, which I find remarkable.
Frank Skinner. On Absolute Radio. Absolute Radio.
You left us on something of a Harry Styles cliffhanger.
Well, I was just looking, and I thought there are many differences between the old and the young, but what it is for me, it's that the last button you see of the shirt before it disappears into the trousers.
Oh, his shirt is tucked in, is it?
His shirt was tucked in, and I tucked mine in
good.
as well, but the last shirt button for me is under incredible strain and duress. I mean, it's...
Do you know what? It's a hard-working button.
Oh, the cotton on that last button for me. It could go at any moment.
Right.
It's straining. His, the button was just sitting relaxed.
His is lying back with its feet up.
And that's the great thing about youth. I respect him.
Because he's young and lean, you mean?
Yeah, he's young and
bought a shirt that's a
lean.
size too big. Which is it?
No, I don't think he's done that. He's very slender, Harry Styles. Well, I mean, he burns off a lot of calories, let's face it.
He does, yeah. You mean with his womanising ways, or
Yeah.
his being a pop star?
But come on, if I was in One Direction, well, it's the last thing I'd be going. No, I don't. You know, he's a young man living it up,
Isn't he?
and they're punishing him for it. Have you noticed that? Did you see the new video?
Oh, yeah.
He's hardly in it.
Oh no, they've not
they're
ostracised him.
And someone was telling me that they interviewed One Direction for a thing, and they were saying the press people were saying, we don't have any individual questions about Harry.
Oh.
It's Cheryl syndrome, isn't it?
I think it's they're turning on him the way Go Compare turned on the fat opera singer, and have made him a subject of ridicule.
That's right,
and the
yeah.
victim of people like Professor Stephen Hawking, who should know better.
What, the Go Compare band, are you suggesting?
Before we know it, there's going to be an advert where Stuart Pearce kicks a ball at Harry Styles' head. Is that what's happening?
Well, yeah, give it
But
6
Frank,
months, and
one
people will
thing-
say, "Who's that?" Yeah, he's kicking a ball.
One thing I did like about the Brits, I know you always like a lady showing him what he's missing. That's one of your favourite things, and Taylor Swift did that.
Yes. Well, as you may know, that's one of the worst things the press ever says, is something like when an ex says, showing him what he's missing. So I don't know about you, if I've been in a relationship and it breaks up, what I miss is not their flat bellies and their long legs. It's those little bits of conversation, those fun nights you had at the cinema, just her hand on your... the sound of her breathing in the middle of the night.
The companionship.
Warm, loving, special things that make them...
Companionship.
Not their flat bellies, and it's the little human connection things that you miss.
Yeah.
So, no,
You're not having it.
I'm not having it. Also, let's face it, he's not exactly missing her, is he?
No, he's doing fine. By the looks of it.
I mean,
awkward.
the only cure for the last one is the next one. I should say he's about 17 down the road by now. That's why Helen's got that pink hair.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've heard from some of our readers. Nugget has texted in. He says, "Nice haircut, Frank. From the back it looks pretty short. Prison chic, as Emily might say. Anyway, welcome back."
Oh, as Emily might say.
Welcome back. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It is quite short.
I like it, Frank.
Is it a Mr. Toppers? Did you go?
Oh,
cheap?
yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Did you pay Was it a £9 haircut? You
was
gave
a-
them a £1 tip and gave them a tenner.
I gave them a £3 tip.
Lovely. That's complicated to
That's
arrange.
a 33.33% tip.
I hope you pointed that out as you were handing it over.
Is it still the nice Australian?
Yeah, still a nice Australian.
Are you for the same chap?
Well, no, it's a lady,
It's a
but
lady.
it's potluck, you know. Just the last few times I've been in, she's happened to be free. It's worked out.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, I'm pleased with it. In a sort of a so short I don't need to put any product on it kind of a way. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit John McVicar.
Yes.
What about how did James Corden do? I didn't watch.
On the Brits?
Was he? I heard he was a bit rude. Was he?
Was he?
And I wondered, was Corden Blur?
Yeah. Very good.
He's done a great job, though.
Did you want to
Successful.
sashay on to Email Corner?
I was just going to
Perhaps,
say,
yeah.
hasn't he re-established the jolliness of the overweight?
Yeah, maybe.
Because we've seen so much of the
Yes.
it's fat American women who can't get off their own toilet. They've become seen as tragic figures. Now, in my youth, it was jolliness.
Yes.
That was what fat people associated
It's more
with.
of the Billy Bunter approach.
And-
Is he
and
that
I
fat
think-
now? Hasn't he gone
Yeah.
down? Or not?
Well, I still think... if he has, he's...
Yeah. He's been photographed more in the pre-phase.
yeah, I think he still looks...
Yeah.
I think of him as a roly-poly funster.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we need more of those. So if there's
Yeah.
any fat people out there, it's about time you re-established yourselves as jolly.
Cheer up.
Yeah.
So,
You're making it look like I'm surprised they get so many recruits nowadays, because it looks grim.
What do you mean, the fat?
Yeah. Because when I was a kid, we associated with fat people with having a bit of a laugh, and there was hardly any about. You
They
think,
were-
well,
they
that's
were
when
good
everyone's
times.
saying, I'm going to join in with this, it's great.
I think we've had a eureka moment here. We should have a
Yeah.
takeaway message for each week's show, and today's is fat people cheer up a bit.
Yeah, cheer
I'm
up.
with Frank, because if you're going to be overweight, for goodness sake, be a bon vivant.
Well, the thing was...
That's
that
all I
the-
ask.
The bleak and the desolate were always thin, gaunt figures, weren't
Yes.
they?
Yeah. That's me, innit?
And now they're people that
can do
can't
that.
get off their own toilet
Yes.
because they're
You're a
too
bit
heavy.
horseman of the apocalypse.
I can do bleak and gaunt and slightly miserable.
You're John of. That's how gaunt you are.
You can do it, yes, you can.
Yes, I really can. You know,
I agree with
if
that.
there's any casting directors listening, I'm there for that.
There won't be. Trust me, I think they've already... I think Emily's got about 12 interviews this week. On the thing. And I'm looking at care homes. So we've all got our own light to lead, let's face it.
We've had an email.
We can't go into this now. We've got to play adverts. It's commercial
okay.
radio.
Fair enough.
One thing I do know is which side my bread's buttered. I don't know if you remember bread, Emily. Something you might have ate in your childhood.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
I was just looking at Cheryl Cole's big tattoo there.
And relax.
Is it a real thing? It's not a transfer.
Oh, yeah, that's so. She didn't get that free with the comic.
Enormous tattoo.
She paid for that one.
In the small of the back.
Do you like
wonder
it?
if it is a prank.
No, it's just years of her hearing the new men in her life saying, "Do you like roses?" You know what I mean? No, it's too big. I think that was a mistake. I think she's
I think
seen
you're
that
right.
in the brochure and thought, you know, women have those tiny little ones that just peep above the
Yeah,
jeans, those
yeah.
tiny little base of the
Oh,
spine.
I like
tattoos.
a little panther crawling up the chest
Just a
area.
tiny
That's
little
what I
thing.
like.
And I bet that's what she thought it was going to be. And she thought, oh, this hurts a bit more than I thought. Then when she looked, she's horrified. She got the dimensions wrong in the brochure.
Oh,
She
dear.
went for the rose on the bottom. I'm not keen on that, Frank.
There's going to be a lot of old celebrities in about 40 years
Yeah.
that look like magazines that have been left out in the rain by a bus stop.
Yeah.
Horrible,
Yes.
wrinkled, blue, inky, flaky, spoilt purpleness. Okay, shall we get to email corner?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find that baby.
That old rascal.
Here it comes. Email corner. And relax.
I have an email. Hi, Frank, Alan and Emily. What a surprise it was last Saturday to discover that both Frank and Alan were away on the same day.
Oh,
Yes, I'll drink to that.
we
True.
go.
Big
It
surprise.
was a surprise.
Not a surprise for me. I knew I was off, but I didn't.
When we
none of
arrived
us
today,
knew that you were going to have the noro, did we?
We slightly staggered our arrival today, so people didn't get suspicious. You know, when people at work, they have the same day off, you think, oh, no.
It was the friendship that dare not speak its name.
It was, yeah.
My first feeling, this isn't mine, this is the email.
My
of
first
Fiona.
feeling could be a great texting.
That'd be
What
good,
was your
yeah.
first feeling, Alan?
Oh, it's probably, I don't know, grumpiness.
Mine was a profound regret.
Mine,
first-
knowing my father, probably abandonment.
Oh. Whoa!
Fiona, who's emailed, has
I think we should have
said
dipped
that
the lights up.
my first feeling was utter fear as to whether I could cope without my weekly fix of Frank or Alan. But lo and behold, Emily was like a naughty schoolgirl in charge of the class because the teacher was away. It was an amazing show.
Oh, whoa!
Now, here's the bit that I think is critical.
yeah.
She broke some rules, but kept the last going with Steve and Matt. What rules? What rules were
There was
broken?
a bit of swearing I noticed. towards the
No,
end of the
there
show.
wasn't.
I
Wasn't
didn't
Emily,
swear.
but there wasn't any
Swearing.
swearing.
Yeah, but it's hard to control these young bucks.
Swearing,
I
actual
know, yeah,
swearing.
they-
Frank,
Yeah,
these young bucks
Oh,
will,
it was
will
like
run wild.
It was like big quiz of the year towards the end.
Oh my goodness!
Frank,
Wait till the
don't.
mail hears about this.
Yes.
I heard some mention of the Pope. I wondered if it was that because you asked some
They
questions.
were all right.
about
They
him.
were all right about the Pope.
Yeah, I thought.
Well,
So what were the rules that were broken? Oh, those rules. The
I don't
swearing
know.
rules. Oh, really?
I honestly don't know. I apologise for any rules that may have been...
Well, I mean, these rules, they were only
read
my
praise out.
rules.
Yeah, yeah.
They're yesterday's rules. Let's call them that. Oh. So,
I think we should move on to email 2.
Shall we?
Yes.
no, hold on, I've got, you know, I play music on here as well.
Oh, God.
I've got all sorts of, it's a whole variety of different things going on. There's adverts, music, and there's
She knows.
off.
She knows. She did it last week. She knows.
Yeah,
She knows.
yeah, but you know, it's I'm going to play. It's not always music I want to play, but you know, you got.
Putting in excess again.
I'm a bit stricter on rules than some people.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Email corner.
We're still there.
So it seems.
Hi, Frank, the Divine Miss Emily and Cockaliki.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick note to say that you might want to dig out the friend of the show jingle. Get it prepped, Frank.
Just a doggone
Sort
minute
of, get
there.
your jingle sorted now.
Just a doggone minute there, Deputy Dog.
As
I ain't gonna read the hen house, Deputy Dog. I'm just gonna see what happens next. Ooh, let's go!
Can you not find it?
Friend
Oh.
of
Do you
the
want-
show.
do you want
that
Emily
reminds
to
me of a
come round
night
and
I had
point
once
it
at the
out?
Grand Old Opry.
Oh, yeah.
as-
Here we go. Friend of the show. Oh, the show was great in those days.
It's worth the wait, wasn't it?
As Peter the Wild has been hitting the headlines once again this week.
Hurrah.
Peter the Wild.
I should explain for new readers that Peter the Wild was he was a feral character who was I think it was George II who took him in,
Correct.
kept him in a leather collar, and he was a sort of a house pet.
We should.
He
find
kept
out-
him on a
not,
lead.
Not a character, an actual individual
Oh no,
from
a real,
history.
a human being treated like a domestic pet. Horrific, you might say, if you're new to this story, but we've grown to love him. We've re-domesticated him all over again.
Yeah,
And he's back.
he's back.
Yeah.
It emerged this week that Peter's grave at St Mary's Church in Northchurch, Hertfordshire, has been given a Grade 2 listing.
That's the show out and sorted for this year.
Oh, that'd be good.
Peter the Wild's
Oh,
grave.
I'd love to go. We have a little picnic, Frank, by his grave. I'd love
Some
that.
people bond through paintballing, but we would take a trip to
We could
Northchurch.
wear a leather collar each, and we could go as a chain gang.
Well, you've probably got 3 leather collars available ready for us to wear, haven't
I
you?
certainly have.
I've got,
Following advice
I've got
from...
3 clerical collars waiting in anticipation of my next job.
I'll provide the leather collars. Following advice from English Heritage, Peter's gravestone and a brass plaque... I bet you're going to laugh at the way I pronounce
Brass
that.
plaque.
I'm perplexed.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because once you've said brass, you feel you're committed to
To say
plaque.
plaque. It's
Yeah.
plaque.
I
plaque
try to
sounds
never say
terrible. It's
either
like
of those
bath.
words.
A brass plaque.
I don't like that. A brass plaque inside the church telling his story will now be preserved to keep his extraordinary history alive for many years to come.
Tremendous news.
it seems Peter's latest foray into the spotlight has thrown up further details about his fascinating life.
Well, we're always hungry for that.
Oh, we love a bit of Peter the Wild gossip.
I'll tell you what, shall we? I'm so excited to learn more about Peter. Shall we have it as a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
Across the new hour
Breaking
cliffhanger.
news on Peter the Wild after this.
Breaking all the rules.
You know what I mean? You don't want to rush news on Peter the Wild. Because I don't know, I find the thing is with the dead is they don't come up with new stuff as much as they did.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text us on 81215 or follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute.
Very well announced on the numbers there.
I'm guessing that the people who text need a bit of help, and the people who are on
12,
Twitter are probably quite,
With it.
literate.
We're with it.
I think they are essentially with
I'll
it.
be with it.
Guys, we had some breaking news about Peter the Wild.
Ah, yes. Now, in case you've just tuned in, you won't get this.
No. But we were talking about Peter the Wild.
Peter the Wild, the domestic pet stroke human being of George II.
And his grave has just been given a Grade 2 listing.
Lovely. I wonder what the stone's like on his grave.
There
Is he
are-
called Peter the Wild?
There are photographs of it available somewhere.
I mean,
PTW.
do we know
That's
his
what he goes
Do
by.
we know his second time? I
His
imagine he
second
got.
name was Wild.
No.
I imagine he got letters to Mr. P.T. Wild.
Anyway, as we were with this email, commenting on the decision to grant listed status to the gravestone, Chief Curator at Historic Royal Palaces, that Lucy Worsley, you like her, Frank?
Oh yeah, very
Is she the TV
thin-lipped.
historian?
Yes.
She's
Yeah,
thin-lipped.
she is thin.
Blonde Wendy Craig Bob, I quite like her, said Peter found happiness in the village of Northchurch, where he enjoyed...
I imagine he found it all over the place.
Oh, but listen to this though.
Well, Frank, do you know
his
what? I want to know
hobbies.
what his hobbies were?
Go
I
on.
love
He
it.
enjoyed watching fires burning,
All right. I must admit, I love watching fires burning.
Well, they're captivating, aren't they?
They are.
feeling the sun on his...
Especially in Peter's case, it was his own feet.
Feeling the sun on his face.
That is also great.
Yeah, sunbathing. Singing songs without words.
Yeah, I struggle. I struggle with lyrics.
Yeah.
I'm one of those.
I'm
you know.
presuming he was a la 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 kind of a
La
character.
la la.
He was very la la la, Frank.
Okay.
He was a hummer. I think we can safely say he was
Oh,
a
I
hummer.
bet- I bet he hummed.
They couldn't
Oh,
get
bet
near
he
him to
hummed.
wash him.
And eating raw onions as if they were apples.
Oh, well, that's showing off. The
Well,
other...
I'm not sure. He might have been to a hypnotism show.
Oh, yeah. I imagine he was... I mean, you're going to get Peter the Wild up if you're doing stage hypnotism.
Of course, yeah.
And that's
His
the
hobbies
thing.
also included making love to a broom that he thought was a person because
No.
he'd been hypnotised.
Oh, sorry. I imagine
Now you've
that
got a bit Paul McKenna.
Peter the Wild went to see an 18th century stage hypnotist and
Course.
who asked for volunteers. There were none. So obviously if there's someone in a leather collar, you're just going to hoist them up onto the stage.
Easy, innit?
Got a hook. He probably had a hypnotist hook. He
I
got
don't like
Peter
this.
up.
That would be Paul McKenna in a frock coat. He would
But
arrive by
as
stage
for
coat.
watching fires, feeling the sun on your face and singing songs without words, it's the best advert for mental illness I've ever...
Good, that.
It
They're
just
simple-
sounds
He's
blissful.
a simple man, though. He has simple pleasures. The Onion revelations have put me off him a bit.
It sounds like we've read there's...
What, did you think he might have good breath until you read that?
It wasn't to do with his breath. I just thought, a lead
Makes him
is
sound-
one thing, but raw onions is quite another.
It
And
makes him sound eccentric.
yeah, exactly. I've written him off now.
But I like that, the interest section of Peter the Wild's CV. Watching fires burn. I don't know if I told you, I was about 12 months ago, I was on the beach at Whitstable. Actually, it wouldn't be about 12 months, I believe it was sort of early November, looking back. There was a bonfire. And I watched it for hours. I forgot how fascinating watching a big bonfire was. So I'm with Peter the Wild on that one, not on everything.
Frank,
Sun on your face.
I'm
amazing.
on Coco Island in the Maldives, so I can't hear your show today. Can I have your sympathy? Also, James Mayer's here. That's from Caroline, who's tweeted us.
James May's escaped.
He's in the Maldives. Oh, I bet he's got one of those Panama hats.
No, James May has been trying to get away from the Top Gear bullies because he's a sensitive floral shirt type of a character, as obviously in the witness protection programme, and he's been exposed by this man.
I think he's a bit of a Peter the Wild figure, Frank.
He's living on Cocoa Island. Can you imagine that there is such an island as that? That's made up, isn't it?
Sounds sweet.
Cocoa Island. Sounds like something... Oh, I don't like the sound of it at all. Sounds like something a right-wing cabbie would... Where you come from? Cocoa Island. That's what I don't like about it.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I've had a text in that I think might cheer you up, Frank, because I know you're not happy here in the shadow of Emily after her glorious hosting. I can sense it. I
feel that we're not too far away from Emily saying, let's go for a drink, and putting her arm round me. And her saying, it must have been cold there in my shed. I like to think I am the wind beneath her wings.
Well, Julia from East Devon has texted, Frank, I think you are fabulous. You always make me laugh, which is good for the soul. We don't normally read out praise, but I think...
Do you feel he's in need of it this morning?
This week we can
I'm going to have a dispensation this week. Thank you, Julia, from East Devon. How marvellous that people who live in Devon think it's worth designating which part of Devon they live in. I'd have been happy with Devon,
yeah.
but that's lovely, thank you.
It's nice that she thinks it's good for the soul.
Yeah.
You know.
Frank likes things to do with the soul. He's a big fan of the soul. Frank, love the soul.
Massive fan of... I thought their second album was a bit disappointing. But yes, I'm
I like their best of.
I'll tell you
best
something
of soul.
that happened. We were talking about dead people, and very sadly, Richard Bryars died.
Yes, I was sad to hear that.
And I had a text from my girlfriend saying, "Oh no, Richard Bryars has died. He was my second ever crush."
Oh.
Now, of course, when people say that, they want you to say, "Oh, really? What was your first ever crush?" Well, I didn't. I did that as a matter of point.
You won't be coerced, Frank.
When I walk into a thing and I'll say something to someone and they'll say, "Look, that's the second shock I've had this morning." I'll always say, "So anyway, did you see the match last night?" I think, no, I'm not. Don't lead me. Anyway, it turns out that her first ever crush was Ruth Maddock.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, who used to, if you remember...
I know
used
Ruth
to
Maddock's
be
work.
the tannoy operator on Heidi High.
I know her work well.
Yeah. So...
I can see there was something a little sapphic
camper.
about her.
The interesting thing is that I quite fancied Ruth Maddock in Heidi High as well.
Yeah.
So it's
all's well that ends well.
I thought we had nothing in common, but turns out that one of our early crushes... I think first crushes are interesting. Who was your first crush, Em?
Well, I was going to say, I was more of a Paul Shane fan than
that couldn't have been your first crush unless he fell out on you.
I can't say the name of my first crush because, I'm not sure where the charges stand currently.
No. Well, that could be one of about 7 or 8 middle-aged.
Yeah,
Should we guess?
he was a leader, I think would be a way of describing him.
Of a pack?
Of a gang, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Hitler. I think, you and the Mitford sisters went the same way. He was very charismatic, apparently.
Something about him.
I'm told that James Corden, who we mentioned earlier, did an interview in which he was asked for his ideal dinner guests, and they included Hitler.
Did they?
Yeah.
But I made up for it, Frank. I went on
was a vegetarian,
to have... My childhood crush was Derek Pringle, the cricketer.
Of course.
And I told you, yes, don't you know this? I used to play press conferences where I'd rehearse what I was going to say when the media found out about our love affair.
I still play press conferences. I do. I'm a massive daydreamer. When I'm on the toilet, I often do press conferences. When I'm often a bit surly with the press, I must say.
What sort of
I'm the manager of Barcelona. And, I actually... because, after my playing career, I'm such a legendary figure I can get away with it. I'm actually quite sharp with them.
Oh yeah.
Who was your first crush?
Well, it wasn't Ruth Maddock, but similar. It was Gordon Brittas. British Empire.
Oh, that was your first. It's hard, isn't it?
It's all about the sitcoms.
It takes a while for us to find our sexuality. Early on, you're not bothered, are you? You're not bothered. It's like when you pop the first ball at pool. It doesn't matter which one it is. You'll decide.
Similar.
You'll decide from there.
Yeah.
Oh, Frank, I remembered another one. Do you remember Peterson Lee, the man in it? I liked him.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, Don, I think his name was.
Lenny, wasn't it?
Oh, was it Lenny?
I think it was Lenny
loved
Peters
him.
and Di Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honor Blackman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Still, really. Still to this day.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in saying my first crush was Gabby Roslin, just saying.
They must be young, or it took a long time to...
Well, I would think that they were young because they've put just saying, but they haven't put a hashtag and they've put a space in between, you know, like in the English language where it says space
I
saying.
forgot the English language.
Is there an emoticon?
Easily
It's
forgotten.
very complicated looking back.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, like
Gabby Roslin. So when do you think, when was she in her pomp?
Big Breakfast?
Yeah, maybe around then.
Talking about 93, Frank.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, she was...
I've outed myself with Peterson Lee. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, really. That must have been, what, 1970?
No!
Peterson Lee?
you?
I'll bet you.
They were still going up towards the 80s.
Were they?
Move on.
Shall we?
Okay.
Have you seen a story this week that somebody sold a haunted mirror on eBay for £100 a beautiful grand Victorian style mirror, and it's had the
When you
place.
say Victorian style, do you mean...
Well, I think it might be a modern mirror that's
That
just in
reminds
that.
me of when David Baddiel, when I lived with him, bought an Edwardian globe. And I said, it's plastic, Dave? And he said, no, I think just the inside's plastic. I said, no, it's plastic. And it was
Oh, really?
clearly not correct. But a Victorian style
A Victorian style mirror, and the lady who's... Oh, no, it was a chap that sold it. Many times since putting up the mirror, both myself and my flatmate have woken in the early hours screaming in pain. The mood in the flat
This
turned
is
sour.
the blurb to sell.
Yes, the mood in the flat
Screaming in
turned
pain.
sour. I felt constantly as if there was a sense of impending doom upon us.
No, this is
Both of us began
I was
to
just
feel
living with one of my
zombie-like.
exes.
Yeah, this is
As
just
if
relaxed.
drained of all our energy.
Oh,
See that?
blimey.
I can do that to a gathering if I turn up. You don't need to sell that on eBay. Just invite me round.
The cooler. That's what they call
It's
it.
not a way of selling it, though. Is it impending doom?
Well, they're being honest. I think they're going for honesty is the best policy.
Are they being honest?
Well, they're saying, truthfully, we both love the look of the mirror, but since we've
I
put
bet
it
you
up in
do.
our flat, we've had nothing but bad luck. I would ideally like to go to somebody who has experience with the paranormal/supernatural and knows what they are getting themselves in for.
Well, you know who I'm thinking of, obviously.
Derek Acora.
Yes.
It says that in the article, but actually it's been bought by Egon Spengler. That's one of the Ghostbusters. I'm just joking.
Oh, well done.
Not
Well,
enough
I've got-
Ghostbusters references.
got a-
on Saturday
I'm more of an
morning
Egon
radio.
Rone fan.
I've got what I think could be a haunted mirror.
Don't
Really?
be so silly, Billy.
Well, if I look into it in the morning, there's like this grey skeletal face looking back at me.
And that's
which
that
I-
portrait of Edvard Munch's The Scream that you have hanging there.
I have that.
That's not a
I have that
mirror.
in my mirror.
Frank.
I'm liking the Edvard. There's not enough Edvard said on this stat.
My godmother, Lindsay DePaul, I like saying that.
Clang.
She used to have... These are my people, I can't help
Love
it.
it.
I'm just a
She,
wallflower sitting by the wall without the willpower to face the music at all.
Oh, lovely.
Yes.
I didn't know you were familiar with her.
Oh, God,
Fra-
yeah. I think everybody fancied her.
probably worked for
She
them.
was probably a first crush. Well,
Yes.
She was one of the last great champions of the beauty spot.
You still got it?
You don't
Right.
really see pushed now by people. I think they have them
Not
removed.
so much, yeah.
But, you know, you feel it's a sort of a Nell Gwyn type of a thing to have. But she was
She
was
had a-
loud and proud.
Well, she had a haunted house, but a haunted mirror specifically, which fell off the wall one night.
And is that what proved it to be haunted?
She had that
She got an
thing,
exorcist
though.
in.
She had that thing about Snow White, didn't she?
Yeah, she did, actually.
No, I think that didn't help.
And
She's always slagging her off.
James Coburn wasn't very good at DIY, who she was living with at the time.
Oh, she's living with
Yeah.
Oh, marvellous.
Yes.
James Coburn, Flint couldn't do DIY.
Well, I like the fact that I'm in the same bit of a Venn diagram as him. Like men who aren't really that interested in DIY. That's good, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I don't think I'm in many other bits of the Venn
He was
diagram. with him.
he was into the martial arts.
Oh, was he?
Oh, he loved the
He
martial
was, yeah.
arts.
He was one of the people that brought Bruce Lee to America.
Maybe I'm
He
in
was
this
one
bit
of the
Venn
people that took
diagram
my
after
cat
all.
to the vet.
Did he really?
Yes.
Oh, did he?
No,
He took us to the vet in North London. He had a fur coat and shades on.
What, the
And-
cat?
No, James. And my cat was called Treacle, and he wasn't well. And James went, "Come on, Treak, baby."
Oh, brilliant.
That's what he said.
Cool.
Now, that is a small Venn diagram. People who've took Emily's cat to the vets and introduced Bruce Lee into an American film. Oh, God, I can't imagine how small that Venn diagram is. I personally, I have to say, I wouldn't buy the haunted mirror just in case it is a haunted mirror.
Really?
Yeah, that would put me off buying it. Wouldn't it put you off?
No.
Even
because-
the most cynical person, I think if they look on
on.
eBay for a mirror and there's
Does that
two
mean-
mirrors and one's haunted and one is, and they think, well, I'll go for non-haunted.
See, I think it's one of those things where I believe that it was bought with just one bid, but I think it would have gone for more than 100 had somebody been up and a bit drunk at the time and looking for a mirror. Cause,
That's a weird drunken purchase.
yeah, but,
mirror.
but that's what
Haunted
happens, isn't
mirror.
it? That's eBay. I bought. In fact, you might be quite proud of me. I bought a designer suitcase when I got in a drunk bidding war on eBay.
I tell you, I'm glad I stopped drinking before the
Yeah.
whole internet
I am
thing
as well.
exploded.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine me
Well, not just for that reason.
I can imagine me trawling for a haunted mirror in the early hours. Gotta have one.
I don't like eBay. I'm not a fan of the second hand.
No?
Robert Mugabe could have owned that old suitcase.
Yeah,
Anyone.
Yeah, but that would be all right, wouldn't it?
yeah, that's
I
fine.
imagine Bob's got some nice luggage.
I imagine so.
What,
Yeah.
his cast-offs?
Yeah, Bobby.
Whilst
that's
his
what they call
people have nothing, he's probably got lovely luggage. Yeah.
him. Can you still get those?
It's fair.
Well, he's probably got luggage. I imagine he's got a bag packed, Bob McCarthy, because you never know when he might have to get out fast. I think he's like, you know when you're pregnant, you have to have
Yeah.
a bag packed ready.
Yeah,
I imagine
yeah.
he's got a couple of suitcases spilling over with cash.
Oh yeah.
That when he has to get out quick. Just a quick shave, just get the tash as thin as it's possible for a moustache to be, and then he's off.
The fulcrum.
Can you still get those mirrors? Do you remember you used to go to the fair and one of the prizes used to be mirrors with like a pop group on in black paint? Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Or was it, I remember seeing David Soul once.
I had David Bowie.
Did you?
yes,
I haven't seen. I mean, could one get a One Direction mirror of that, or have they
Oh,
just
I don't
gone out of?
know.
We could try.
I'd love one of
We'll
those.
see if
Frank.
such things exist.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We were talking about the haunted mirror
We were.
earlier, and it was an eBay purchase.
Yeah.
And I know Alan Cochrane.
Yeah.
You're quite a fan of the eBay, aren't you?
I don't mind I don't mind the odd eBay purchase. Yeah. Although it is weird that. Have you ever had this where you've been looking to buy a thing online and then for about a week afterwards the internet keeps suggesting that you buy that thing online? You know, where the adverts sort of
Yes.
say...
I know that. When I bought Frank Skinner a Cliff Richard calendar, and it says people who bought this might like Petula Clark greatest hits.
Yeah.
That's what I
Well,
get.
I'll tell you what, I didn't know that YouTube does that.
Oh,
Does
yeah,
it?
yeah. it
So you look at
suggests-
your YouTube, you know, you look at a clip on
dear, that's
YouTube,
worrying.
and there's things down the side that are a bit like the clip.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
But then you get ones that say, I forget what the actual, but it's something like, we thought you'd like this or something.
Yeah.
And it's something that you looked at like 3 days ago, similar to that. That
Because you looked
they've
at
been and
this.
found it for you.
Yeah.
They're very helpful.
They
I
are.
find it presumptuous. I don't like these presumptuous men that live in the computer and tell me what I might like.
No, all right.
Maybe there's more to me than that.
I blame that.
Yeah.
The first person I found in the computer who was pushy was the paperclip.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that character?
Yeah.
Oh, with his
tone.
dance.
Yeah, what if I don't want help?
And then there was Google correcting your spelling. Did you mean, you know...
yeah, I know that.
I don't need
When
this.
you, when
But
you
we're
click
all-
on it, there's a heading that says grammar.
We're all
Yeah.
big fans of the work of
Frank, I'll decide
Clear
if it's a-
History. He
Look.
does a lot of good work for us, Clear History, doesn't he?
Yeah, well.
Where would we be without him, frankly?
I'll decide if if something's a fragment or not that I've written. Yeah, clear history, yes,
Do
indeed.
your own
Our best
grammar,
friend.
Amazon has been recommending that I buy a hammock recently because I looked at hammocks a couple of weeks ago.
I think that's the Amazon thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got confused. They think you've looked up the Amazon.
Going
They think
to
you're
the
off on
jungle.
holiday.
Yeah.
Really? You were looking up Richard Hammond, and you've now revealed that.
Oh, I was looking. I genuinely did contemplate buying a little hammock, and then thought, where am
A
I going to
little
put this?
hammock.
Yeah, you can get
like that picture of that cat in a hammock that used to be on cards.
yeah, like that.
Yeah?
That could be me. You can get like a mesh hammock, but I don't know where I would put it.
You're a bit crouchian for a hammock.
I'm too. Yeah, you're right. I'm too.
You don't want a
long
mesh
for
hammock because you'll look like you're plaid when you get out of it.
Yes.
Yes.
You remember what happened to Lady Diana? The first time, I think, a member of the royal family actually corrected something in the press. And that's
Oh.
when they said that she'd left the Harbour Club in Chelsea and she had cellulite. And she said, I'd been sitting on a wicker chair.
Did she?
She felt that she had to put that right. God
Good
bless
for her.
I still miss her.
Yeah, wicker is it's a damaging seat, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I don't know if you've read Casino Royale.
No.
It's a terrible scene in that where he sits in it. He has to sit naked in a wicker chair with a hole in the bottom and he's caned.
Oh no.
Caned across the gentleman's, excuse me.
Some people charge by the hour for that.
So
Frank-
can you get a One Direction mirror with black paint on a normal? A One Direction
know.
mirror sounds like a technical term. Like you can get a two-way mirror, but you can't get a One Direction mirror.
Nobody's
Well,
told us that.
827 says, I once wanted to sell my baking tray that had an image of Jim Morrison on it left by some fatty deposits, but was laughed at when I suggested it. Well, that's fair
Really?
enough. I mean, no one
I'd have
wants
thought
that old fat,
that would
do
be
they?
all right. You know those fairground mirrors that you used to, like the proper fairground mirrors that you used to
Yeah.
go in and you stand at
The wobbly ones.
It makes you look really fat.
Yeah,
They've lost their novelty a bit, haven't they? Modern Britain.
Yes.
We've also had a lot of people suggesting their first ever crushes.
Oh, well,
I
I'm
don't-
interested in that. I think
Well-
it,
And I would like to interrupt this broadcast
Yes,
just
you
to
may.
say, Popstar Mirrors. Joe says, he says, you can still get Johnny Halliday mirrors in our local Chinese emporium.
really? I'd like a Johnny Halliday mirror.
Yeah.
I mean, that
now
is
you know
just
where to
such a
go.
conversation piece, isn't it? Who is that? That's Johnny Halliday, you know, the
And then
the
you're off.
French chanteuse.
You could take that with you instead of bringing up the hovercraft, couldn't you, for lulls in conversation?
Well, you could have a pocket Johnny Halliday mirror that I just get out to check my,
Like a compact.
just to check my teeth after a snack. Yeah. And it's a Johnny Halliday mirror. I'd love that. That must be. We'll see. I'll go on eBay and see if you can get Johnny Halliday bracket pocket.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had various texts in about first crushes, Frank. Some of which
Don't frank me.
some of which really dates the texter. You know where we had a text saying that a chap's first crush was Gabby Roslin. Well, I'm assuming it's a chap. I could be wrong.
Yeah, well, I think we've all found that we jumped around
Yeah.
sexually.
Oh, sexuality was fluid
We
back
tried
then.
to guess what age he was, and he's saying he was 34 next birthday, and it was on the Big Breakfast.
Yeah, that's about right.
Similar time scale. Somebody's texted in. Mine was Yasmin Bleeth from Baywatch.
Do I remember her?
Oh, she
No, but
was
that person
pretty.
also said they like Jet from Gladiators.
Jet from Gladiators is a big,
yeah,
good, big shout.
I can see that.
Different era. First crush Janet Ellis. Ooh.
Oh, I wonder if that was Blue Peter or Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
But
Both.
she was. Yeah. I really had a crush on Atlanta Shaw,
Who was that?
who was Commander Shaw's daughter in Stingray.
Right, we've had a Captain Scarlet.
A
in as well.
marionette, basically.
Captain
Yeah.
Scarlet. It's funny, isn't it?
And one of the
Puppets.
interesting, I think you were supposed to fancy Marina. If you remember, Marina was the girl from Under the Sea. She was a mute. I don't know if can we still say mute.
Yes, it's
She was a mute.
acceptable.
You can if you do it in that voice.
But
I
she
think it
had
makes
big.
it silly.
She was very wispy. She had a sort of Ursula Andress look. Whereas Atlanta, she was more business-like. I often saw her in a uniform, and she had a short sort of red head type. And I liked her because she had a disabled father. I felt that she'd had she'd had a few hard knocks.
Yeah.
in life. and
yeah,
you're drawn to that.
But she did have a sort of no-nonsense appeal, which
Yes.
I liked a lot.
Right, yeah.
Marina was, she was away with the fairies.
Aquamarina. Well, the cartoon crush is not uncommon. I liked
yeah.
Clyde from the Hair Bear Bunch. Remember, he just wore a belt, nothing else,
Was
and a
that the one
waistcoat.
who said, ooh, beagly, beagly?
I think he might have. I think that might be the self-same man, or bear.
I think in Wayne's World they talk about having a crush on the woman in Roger Rabbit, don't they? That's
Don't mention that, it makes me
understandable.
feel ill. You know my feelings about that film.
Yeah.
I don't. I'd forgotten, actually.
I hate it. Frank, Mike says Susie Quattro.
Oh, yeah, I mean, she was one for the tight outfit, and...
Yeah. Attractive. Michaela Strachan on Mallet's Mallet.
Oh, I think we all like Michaela Strachan.
Nobody's texted Timmy Mallet on Mallet's Mallet, but Michaela Strachan has
No,
won
she
the vote
was
there.
she was sensational. One of those people with a big mouth.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's very sensual and an enormous mouth.
Yep.
619, First Crush, Puncharello from Chips, Eric Estrada.
Yeah.
Well, that must be right up your Estrada.
Oh,
He was the pin-up boy.
lovely.
We've not had any from the Australian soaps yet. I would have expected Danny Minogue on Home and Away or Plain Jane on Neighbours.
I'll tell you who I liked. Was she called Elle?
Elle.
She was Paul Robinson's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she looked
I
very
thought
like
you were
Nicole.
more of a Helen Daniels fan.
The lines around the mouth just got too many.
Not even when she was a successful businesswoman running home, James.
Even
her.
then, and I am. I won't lie. I am attracted by power, but I wasn't. But Elle Robinson, she looked like Nicole Kidman. She was like Nicole Kidman before she went a bit odd, and because Nicole Kidman was like fantastic in like To Die For. She's one of the most beautiful women you've ever seen, and then she went very porcelain doll.
Right.
I think the Cruise character wasn't a good influence. That's my theory.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute.
I'd like to talk a bit about...
Can I say we were talking about first crushes, and Emily's was the bear from the Hofmeister Follow the Bear.
I loved him. Do you remember him?
It's a great...
He had a little theme tune, do-do-do, and he wore a trilby and a satin bomber,
Yeah.
if you recall.
And
And why wouldn't you if you were a bear?
He
he's a
left.
drinker.
First
He's a
thing
big
I think
drinker.
Ted ripped off the Hofmeister bear concept.
Yeah.
It's essentially the same principle, a bear
Yeah.
that leads you astray with louche behaviour.
Yeah, he was... do you remember there used to be a very old advert, actually, for Warnings Advocar? You know Advocar,
Oh.
that sort of
I don't
eggnog.
remember that. But I know
And the
the
guy
drink.
used to be a sort of a Dutchman who'd say, evenings and mornings, I drink warnings. And you'd think, that's a problem, isn't it?
You
I
know,
don't want to be on telly talking about that.
That's
You
a
need to
chapter.
be-
That's a
on a
chapter
morning.
in your autobiography.
Yeah, you need to be in a church hall with some other people of a similar disposition.
Just FYI, it was Pernod.
Pernod.
Yes,
It was with me. That was Ricard to
Oh,
be,
sorry,
if we're going to be
darling.
absolutely, yeah. Anyway,
Anyway, we've had
Talking of alcohol, I'd like to discuss Ben Fogle, because I'm a fan of Ben Fogle, and he had a bit of an incident.
well, I've heard that Fogels would. So you're in with the shout.
He had an incident, Frank.
He did have an incident, I read.
he's had
It's
a right old
terrifying.
incident.
It's no
Terrifying
easy way of
incident.
saying it. It was a psychotic episode.
That's not that easy, I admit.
He said his drink was spiked in a country pub. Is that right?
A country pub. I mean,
Yeah.
what did they put in it? A barley wine?
No,
He said-
apparently some hallucinogenic drugs.
In a country pub? I mean, how did that happen?
I don't know. Maybe it was an accident.
I imagine it's a Wicker Man type thing. There's some local pagan.
He said
He's not
cult.
from round here.
he
type
tried
thing.
to jump out of a window, and he said his wife and his friends locked him in a room for his own safety. He said, I flipped.
Is,
Yeah.
Which I thought was brilliantly posh, bless him.
His
I
wife-
just like flipped.
Well, the quote I saw from him, he said, I don't like using the word, but I was acting like a stereotypical madman. I
And
think
again-
stereotypical is a word he doesn't like use. He usually draws a line at 5 syllables.
Again, he said, I thought I was doomed. Maybe he'd been looking in that ghost mirror. Perhaps he'd been on
Yes.
eBay.
Doomed is a fabulous
A
thing.
lot of
to-
doom in today's show. People say
Yeah.
I felt doomed.
But that moment when the, whatever it was, let's imagine it was LSD, kicks in, you think, oh God, I'm doomed.
I'm doomed.
Yeah.
And then a couple of days later, I'm perfectly fine. I'm a reality TV star and presenter, and I'm off away again. He's gone away.
He's a strong chap, though.
He knew that something was wrong when he tried to pick up his daughter, and she felt as light as a grain of rice. And I think he wants to hang around Fashion Week a bit more, because that's really nothing, frankly.
Didn't he also
we consider that overweight. You've been piling on the pounds.
I just don't understand. In a country pub, if he was in some city bar,
you'd almost expect.
Or hanging out with my parents in 1973.
This is why when I go to pubs now, I use a child's sippy cup.
Oh, clever.
And they can't get in. You see, it's only those 4 holes in
a Tommy Tippy.
And this is, if there's any people listening, especially young women, I suggest you get your own sippy cup, keep it behind the bar like we used to do with a pewter tankard.
I thought it was. I felt very sorry for him. On the other hand, there was one slightly odd element to it. He said he started doing Monty Python
silly
material.
Walks.
Yeah, but he called it the Ministry. What did he call it? He called it Funny Walks.
Ministry of Funny Walks, which isn't what it was called. And then he said it went from scary to comical. I was trying to get into bags. What bags? What bags was a big...
No, Bags is his old rugby chum. That's a very difficult moment. I hate to think of that. He said, I wanted to die, and I kept trying to jump out of a window.
Oh, no.
You see, this is why I didn't watch the Brits. He has my sympathy.
Frank Skinner.
On Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We're still getting missives from the outside world, various texts, including my first crush, Selena Scott. I was 16, then Sybil Shepherd in Moonlighting. I mean, that's great.
Aisha Broff.
Bless you.
Aisha Broff. Was it Space 1999 or was it UFO? It was one of those two.
I think it was Space 1999, Frank.
She was... I remember her name was Aisha, so she presented a kids' TV show, and she had a big medallion with the A on it for Aisha.
Uh-huh.
And then when she was in this sci-fi series, she still wore the A over her uniform.
No.
I mean...
She was a stickler for detail.
What about the fourth wall? No, but
I know she wasn't a stickler.
I'm trying to willingly suspend my disbelief here.
Yeah.
Juliet from Dogtanion and the Musker Hounds.
That's a good one.
A Canine Crush, 779. That's Adam in Kent.
And slightly off topic, but I like the text. I'm going to read it to you. Hi, Frank and Kurt. Love the 80s, love the show. Just pumping iron at the Min on my day off. That I felt needed read out.
Yeah.
That's from Paul Sargent from Chesterfield.
Iron is another rugby friend.
Along with Bags.
Yeah, Iron and Bags.
They're coming over tonight, Iron and Bags.
What a week they've had. Still watch the match this afternoon, relax, and just put it out their minds.
Also, there's been a correction from Scott McKee.
Is it from Jonathan Franzen?
No.
Very good.
Lovely. Scott McKee says, the Hair Bear Bunch didn't say ooh Beasley, it was ooh, Mr. Peevely, Mr. Peevely.
Yes, I think you're right. I take that, yes. I was being slipshod.
Yeah.
Don't yell, help, here come the bears, help.
Oh, it's doing strange things to me.
We've also had emails from the outside world.
Where else are we going to get emails from?
Well,
emailing each other.
Exactly. Well, we do occasionally ping each other during the week, don't we?
Tory MP Emma Nicholson, that's from Dev.
Really?
Oh, I don't know her.
That was his crush.
His first crush?
I'll have to look up Emma Nicholson.
Yeah.
Extraordinary.
Dear Frank, Emily and Alan, thought you might like to know that this week I experienced an underhand pedestrian racing incident, UPRI, in brackets. I was walking back to the office after my lunch break.
We should say that pedestrian racing is when you race another person who's walking down the street without ever making it totally clear that you're doing that. You're never sure whether they're aware of it or not.
Yeah.
It's a tense thing.
It's a tense affair. I like walking fast, and I get a bit furious if I'm trapped by a slow person ahead of me.
God,
See, I'm not sure you can get a bit furious. I think you either are or you aren't. Surely it's all in fury, isn't it? A bit furious?
I take your semantic point.
So you can imagine...
you're a bit more Charles Bronson when it comes to anger.
So you can imagine how I felt when I got caught up behind a large gentleman with countless number of shopping bags about his person.
I sympathise.
Oh, yeah. I tried to overtake, but he stepped into my path. OK, I thought, bad luck. So I tried the other side, and he did the same again. It happened another 2 times, and I was baffled as to how he knew where I was going, until I realised he'd been watching my shadow in front of him. Oh, the old sun behind you trick. I eventually had to resort to actually running past him, a bit like the gauntlet round on Gladiators. Frank, are these blocking tactics against pedestrian racing rules?
I think they are, but this is something that this bloke has obviously picked up on his way to the chip shop. Where, he senses he could be overtaken and he's panicked and gone wide. You know that thing when footballers really lean into someone and let the ball roll out? It's a bit there. Some people as well, I think the very stupid can't walk in a straight line. I find if you're walking behind some people, they'll just keep wait. I think it's just chance that they go the way that you're going to overtake them. I think they use walking a straight line as a test for drunkenness. It also works perfectly well as a test for stupidity.
An IQ test.
If the police stopped a man and were trying to work out whether he was stupid, they should just walk down the pavement behind him a bit. If they can't get past, he should be in a home.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
We've had a lot of texts in with people saying what their first crush was, but I now need to ask you and the listenership some questions here.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember, but I was much mocked.
Will I need to write something down?
No, you can just think. I was much mocked on this very show when I announced to you in January that my New Year's resolution was going to be the sleep. I was going to prioritise sleep and have better sleeps. And you thought it was a terrible New Year's resolution. I stand by that it's a good New Year's resolution, but I'm now considering changing because it's not working out for me. I'm really struggling. I've been trying, but I've found myself with damaging patterns of behaviour. 2 in the morning, I was buying books the other night online.
Are you sure it was books?
It was books.
Oh,
it was
good.
books, yeah. Not not suitcases.
Not anything else.
Drunkenly buying suitcases.
From Robert McGolby.
And then a couple of weeks ago, when I did this show, I did everything right. I went to the gym in the hotel. I went back upstairs. I'd bought salads because I've read that a bit of lettuce before going to sleep is good for your sleep.
Is that right?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've also heard turkey.
Makes sense. I've always found rabbits to be very patchy sleepers.
I wonder how they sleep. I'm going to investigate that.
I bet they don't sleep well. I bet the nose... Does the nose stop twitching when they sleep?
Well, no, also they don't...
Rabbit.
They're filthy creeps as well, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, they get about, don't they?
Yeah.
If there's any rabbit breeders or keepers of any kind, any sort of associates of rabbits, I'd like to know if their nose stops twitching when they sleep. Is it like a shark?
They're being associates of rabbits.
Yeah.
My whippet twitches when she's asleep. She carries on with
but
a little...
that's the old
they're
dog
dreaming
dream.
about rabbits, aren't they? Oh, yeah, it's funny,
Yeah, but that... If you speak... not speak to a rabbit, but if you look at a rabbit and have contact with it, the nose never stops going. And I just wonder...
Yeah.
It must be a lovely moment. It's like that time of the night in our flat. We've got one of those Chinese cats that beckons in wealth.
Have you?
Oh, Maniki
Yeah.
Neno, I think they're called.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
You know they have the arm.
Yeah.
The waving
And it's
arm.
got a little solar panel, so it goes. And just as twilight comes, I just watch the arm slow down a bit and stop, and it's lovely. And I wonder if that, as a rabbit falls asleep, does its nose, the twitching slows a little, and then it just... How lovely to see that.
Yeah. I was more thinking it might be weird when you arrive back if you've done any late night work and it just stops as you're coming home and you go, yeah, you're right, I'm quite well. You may as well stop. Stop with all the beckoning.
Yeah, I've had to turn it round the other way. Get some money out.
Anyway, I was in the hotel. I've been down to the gym. I've done everything right. I've bought the salad. And then I get back up. I have the shower. I'm drying up. I'm thinking, all right, this is going to be good. I'm going to get a big power sleep right before the show. This is a couple of weeks ago. And I went to open the salad and pinged it. I'd bought a chicken and chorizo salad, it was. It had leaves.
Did you buy it for the taste or the alliteration?
I bought both. I'm a fan of that. And it just went everywhere. It went all over the floor. And unbeknown to me, the salad didn't just contain chicken and chorizo and leaves. It had beans and chickpeas in.
Oh.
There was chickpeas all across the hotel room. I had to get on my hands and knees.
Well, it's a hotel.
and pick it up. I can't sleep in a room that's got food lying on the floor.
You're kidding me.
I found a
The
chickpea in my
the whole
trainer.
joy of a hotel is if you drop anything, you think, oh, well, it's a
You can't
hotel.
leave chickpeas on the
can't-
carpet overnight.
God,
can't
I've
have
left,
the
I've left
reception
worse
staff.
things than that in hotels.
Yeah, dignity.
Don't bring up the Intercontinental.
No.
You know I don't like that story.
I certainly had Intercontinental. No, it's I wouldn't have bothered with it. So what?
Oh, I had to pick it up, and then it stained the carpet, and I put it in the bin.
Oh,
And so
God.
I was so annoyed. I took photographs of it spilt on the floor to send to my wife. saying, I'm
Photographs?
furious at the
Some sort of
chickpeas
crime
along
scene.
the floor. I had to let somebody else.
Did
you know
you
when
put
you're
white
so angry
tape
you
around
need
the
somebody
shape?
else. I felt like that. I was incandescent with rage right before bed. That's not good for your sleep, is it? So
No.
I think I might have to give up on the sleep. I'm just
Still, it's better than a night light, I suppose, if you're incandescent with rage. Well, I've been, funnily enough, I've been reading about sleep this week. I just came across an article about sleep with a couple of fascinating facts that
got some tips for me.
that will shut your mouth. Two things stuck in my memory. People who sleep 8 to 10 hours a night, or is it? I think it might be 9. Yeah, 9 to 10 hours a night are 21% more likely to become obese.
Is that right?
So think about that.
Well, I'm
Especially,
getting
Can
on-
someone give me a coffee, please?
especially if they dream about sausages.
I'm not going to bed for another couple of days now.
Yeah, but what about that?
I get under 8 and I'm reasonably lean, aren't I? So that's probably that explains.
Well, I get after 8, and I'm. And the
love
other
after
thing,
8.
which seems to contradict the obesity thing, and I wrote this down. This is how Penelope Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Lovely.
her? Beautiful,
yeah.
Oh,
dark,
she's foxy.
yes, lovely,
She's all right.
dark
Bit of a
eyes,
senorita.
dark
All right.
eyes.
I prefer Harry Styles' mum, but it's beside the point.
Just a light moustache, but it works, doesn't it? It works. Not everyone could carry it off. She says she likes 15 hours.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And her record is 18.
No.
Like some sort of a sloth.
I mean, it makes you think about the beauty sleep thing, you know, because
Yeah.
she's quite a striking woman. Her sister...
Yeah, because then there's Kate Moss. Oh, yeah.
But what about yeah. Her sister once slept for 3 days. Straight
No.
through. Now, I don't know about you, but if I had a friend or family member who slept for 3 days, say maybe 15, 16 hours, I'd start thinking we're going to have to do what especially if they're on my mattress. No, but wouldn't you be worried?
I'd be worried.
Also, didn't
That's
she?
a coma.
she
I
have
think that
commitments?
qualifies as a coma, surely.
How does she earn her keep?
Well, I imagine she's got Penelope Cruz for a sister. She could,
Oh, that's
she
no
can have
life.
3
But it
days.
does explain, you know, when you go to some cafes and they do like a mega breakfast and you think this is too much food for anyone, that's who it's for. It's for those
Yeah,
people that
it's
have had
got
no
on.
nutrients for 3 full days.
The cruises.
Yeah, the cruises. There's a lot of cafes catering to just those
I've
people.
saw they had a Savoy at our local, a giant Savoy-based meal called the Cruise Missile, especially for such. But can
3
you believe
days.
that? Penelope
That's extraordinary.
Cruz
No, I struggle to believe that.
regularly 15 hours, and her record is 18. I mean,
But if you sleep for 15 hours and then you get up the next day, before you know it, you're going to be looking at your watch going, where's the day gone? Like,
Yeah.
They must
I
say that a
suppose
lot.
If you're a film star, you got, a little bit of modelling. There's not that much to fill the day.
I suppose.
You're not
yeah.
missing much.
She looks well
Watch-
on it.
watch- a
Maybe
long
a couple
film
of
and go back
episodes of
to bed.
Splash. Frank, what are you averaging now?
Sleep.
Yeah,
Sleep-wise.
sleep-wise.
Well, I'm often in the spare room, and even there, what Kath will do is, like this morning, I went to bed early last night because I got to get up at 6. I went to bed about 9:30.
Really? Early
She
is that?
texted me at 20 to midnight.
Kath
No.
often,
Saying,
we
yeah,
should say
can you-
Kath often texts in
Yeah.
the house, which
Was
I
it in the
quite
same
like
building?
that. Yes.
Yeah, woke me up
What does she say?
and said, don't forget to leave the keys out tomorrow.
Oh, no.
So I wasn't very happy with that. I was awake for 2 hours.
That could have been a note, that.
Well, the trouble is, yeah, exactly. That could
In
have
the
been
morning,
that could have been a
next to
yellow
the-
sticky. That's exactly what I thought. But I
Yeah.
thought the choice was: shall I get out of bed and put a note, or shall I wake him up? I'll wake him up. That's what's happened. And I wasn't. Also, of course, when you get a text that wakes you up, you become angry, and that makes it harder to go back to sleep.
Not as angry as you do when you've spilt a chorizo salad all over a bedroom floor.
Well,
Chickpea in a trainer.
We had a
Alan has shown us the photographic evidence, hasn't he?
we had a big row recently, and I said to her, you know, if by then I'd lost it. If this was Big Brother, you'd get really booed when you went out.
That's a new chapter in arguing if this was Big Brother.
Oh, dear. This is the modern world.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Whoa, come on. Email corner. Yeah, take it to the bridge.
Have an email here. Dear Emily, who did a fantastic job of hosting the show last week.
Well-
Brackets, look out, Frank! Exclamation mark, close
No,
brackets.
genuinely,
full
look out,
stop.
Frank.
Right, what? Oh, God! I thought you were reading that. Oh. Now
Thank you.
that has actually broke the skin.
That's taken about an inch off. That saved you a couple of quid at Mr. Topper's or whatever.
Oh, Mr. Topper.
She continues, thank you for explaining why some listeners/readers were identified by
Why
three
do
digits.
some listeners/readers? Why do they do that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought it was about knife crime.
Oh, I see. No, good though. Are identified by 3 digits. I thought that these were special people who had been with you since the beginning. No, it's just the last 3 digits of their mobile phone,
It's
isn't
just
it?
a sort of prison chic,
It
like
was.
Frank's
I
hair.
think it was introduced by a previous contributor to the show, Gareth,
Oh, yeah.
who used to. He felt bad that there was no name, so he used numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, identified them.
Love the show, although my husband can't stand it. Cheryl in Ashford, Kent.
Oh, that's awkward.
She's put her
Okay.
husband can't stand it, and then put one of those smiley face icon things. You know when they put a
It's like your sack, smiley
colon and a
face.
brackets. Yeah.
You're dumped, smiley face.
Yeah,
What's
that's
his
her
problem?
smiley face. and-
What's his problem, Cheryl? He sounds like he's got terrible taste in Saturday morning radio. What's his beef?
I think what's happened here is a educating Rita scenario.
Oh,
Yes.
Cheryl has met this guy, and when she met him, they were young. They had similar. They were happy to just go out and go to the pub and have a fun night, watch a bit of telly, and that was their
Yeah.
life. But Cheryl has continued to evolve, as some people do. She wants a
Yeah.
bit more. She wants, she wants language. She wants comedy. She probably, reads books. Would like to go to the theatre or maybe some art house films. But the husband, he's a bit threatened by this as he sees Cheryl, let's say, outgrow him in many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
And it's
She's
made him
moved on.
bitter and angry about the things that she likes.
Yeah.
You can stick with it, Cheryl. I recommend. Good on you for that. But I don't feel good about it because I think you've grown apart.
Well, that's that
So that's
done.
a
isn't it?
marriage
Okay.
over
Yeah.
this morning.
This could be a new feature, shouldn't it? People
Absolute Radio, ending marriages on 8/12/15.
text in if you think you've
Frank.
grown apart.
I'm with you, Frank. Frank, we were talking about crushes earlier, childhood crushes, and Lauren Williams has tweeted us to say mine was the Fox Robin Hood from Disney's classic film.
Oh yeah, the Fox
Swoon.
Robin Hood.
She's actually said swoon.
Really? Because a lot of people they liked Michael Pryor.
Yeah.
The version, but the fox from the Walt Disney film. No, it's an interesting
what you're
phenomenon
talking about.
that.
Don't you?
No, and I'll tell you why that is, because there are certain Disney full-length cartoons that
Features.
never quite make the Premier League. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Because, you've got your obvious Dumbos and Bambis and John
And then you get your
Roberts.
John Smiths or whatever it is.
And then, you get Pocahontas and stuff.
Yes.
They're doing well in the Champions League, but they're not Premier League full-length animations. And I would say that Robin Hood is I'd say Robin Hood is struggling a bit, even in the Championship. Sword in the Stone had a good run, but never made the Prem.
No.
Don't know,
That was one of Frank's
Stone, eh?
favourites.
Yeah.
He's Merlin mad.
Oh,
Anything to do with Merlin, he loves
it's
it.
Merlin Mania! Oi, ay, ay.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had some more childhood crushes in. Crush from my younger days, Sally James from Tis Was.
Oh, yeah, everybody liked her. In the denim waistcoat.
Oh, yeah, nothing
That was-
underneath. Tantalising it was.
There might have been a brassiere, but
Yeah, she
no
needed
more than
support, that one.
Did she?
We've also had from 853 Fenella Fielding and Carry On Screaming.
She was very sexy voice.
She was. She slept with my father.
Really? Lovely.
That is a fact. That is a true story.
Well, let's see if we can find some others. What about Marmalade Atkins, Paul from Chesterfield?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she was nice, Charlotte.
Yeah.
I had a crush on Kim Wilde. I used to dream we were married, from Robin Wiltshire. Good for the gardening if you're married to Kim Wilde.
Why
She
is
likes
that?
to drink
She's
now.
a gardener now, isn't she?
Is she?
I think so.
She likes a gin and tonic
That
with
was
her
a funny
gardening.
video last Christmas,
Yes.
wasn't it, where she was on the tube singing.
Yeah.
Last Christmas, that reminds me, George Michael, one of my crushes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, loved his
That
work.
was.
They were more
forlorn
innocent
hope.
days, weren't they?
They were when girls fancied George Michael with true hope in their heart.
Should have known.
The
And
Andrew
also,
Ridgely
in
fans
those-
had the last laugh, Frank.
Yeah, they did. In those days, he could park in a tiny space.
Yeah.
Nothing, no problem.
And that was before parking sensors. Now, even
Yeah.
with the sensors, I imagine it's...
No
And-
parking sensors. He was on in the 70s.
And he used headlamps. Who'd have thought? He doesn't do that
Oh
anymore.
yeah, he was quite establishment when you think about it in those days when it comes to driving. Now he's a free spirit. I respect him for that. Yes. Is there anything else
Yes.
going on? We're steadily winding down, but I like to keep talking right up to the end.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Yeah.
We have...
Be good if you just let it go.
I have an email.
Give us an email.
Dear Frank, Emily and Alan, spelt incorrectly, sick. I have recently discovered the podcast archive on your website, and I'm working
what is
my
probably
way
now
through.
labelled as the Skinner years.
Indeed, I'm working my way through from the beginning, partly in the hope
Wow.
of discovering how Frank's hatred of Catherine Jenkins originated. I'd like
It's
to know
not a
that.
hatred, you know.
Just
It's not a
a
hatred.
mistrust of the.
I'm trying to save mankind from the imprisonment of Lucifer. That's not based on hatred.
You've said
That's
many
a crusade.
times you think she's Lucifer's representative on Earth.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
correct? And what's made you think that, though? That's what she's asking, I think.
No, it's a good. I can't remember where it. I'll have to go back
Well-
through the archives.
In fairness, Frank said this also about Ant and Dec. Read it
Oh,
back and
when
in the
we did
papers
that.
today.
But-
It's been confirmed.
But I felt that
yeah.
they were no more than chomps that had been used. You know, they were like those the stupid henchmen you might get in a black and white Ealing comedy. Whereas
might
she,
say, "Yeah,
she
boss."
knows what's going on.
Yeah.
She's senior management as far as Lucifer is concerned, whereas I think they are very much removal men.
Yeah. She continues. Last week I listened to one from September 2009, which featured the delightful Cerys Matthews as a guest.
Oh, yes,
Nice.
she was good. She was very good.
You liked guests, didn't you?
No, I liked her.
Yeah, she was nice.
I did like her, but many of them were a sour disappointment.
And I am guessing from the comments that a large music retailer had just gone out of business. Frank then mentioned that you could still buy music at HMV, quipping, if you're listening to this on the podcast, they might have gone too. I don't suppose when you said that you were imagining someone listening to the podcast in 2013. Well, things have changed, haven't they?
If you're suggesting I started a run on shares, I think that it took a while, hasn't it, to
I
kick
don't
in?
think she is. I think she's
Don't
saying
panic.
that listening now, it's a different world then. You also used to say now then all the time. You don't do that so much anymore, do you?
I've dropped that.
That's gone.
God.
I have dropped that. HMV, the whole thing is Master's voice, a dog peering into the horn of a record player, you know, the idea of the master and the dog. I think in a secular age where the species is seen as more equal, it's inappropriate anyway. It's good that it went.
I got to go, Frank. I am working on a burger stand at Arsenal Stadium. Yeah, that's not a joke, I am.
You're working on a burger stand.
Yes, I'll talk to you about it next week. This is
I don't
honestly
think
not
I've
a
ever
joke.
been more shocked in my life.
Drayton Park, come and see me, just at Holloway Road End.
Okay.
Yeah.
People might.
Right.
I hope
well, this is the woman who was running this show last week.
How quickly we fall.
It's all gone a bit Michael Barrymore. So, you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week, unless we're working in fast food.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute